If I had just 1 minute to explain what the Gordie Howe International Bridge is, I'd say it's a 2.5 kilometre cable-stayed bridge connecting the cities of Detroit in the United States and Windsor in Canada. If I told you just that, you'd immediately ask, wasn't the Ambassador Bridge built for that? Yes, the Ambassador Bridge was constructed nearly 100 years ago with that purpose and has been extremely beneficial to the economies of both countries since then. However, after several years of consideration, the United States and Canada formally approved the construction of a new bridge in 2012 due to increasing congestion on the Ambassador Bridge. The Detroit River crossing between the United States and Canada has a long history, going all the way back to the American Civil War when it served as a vital transportation route. Initially facilitated by ferries, the transportation landscape evolved with the opening of key infrastructure: the Michigan Central Railway Tunnel in July 1910, the Ambassador Bridge for road traffic in November 1929, and the Detroit-Windsor Tunnel in 1930. Statistics indicate that 30% of goods transported between the United States and Canada cross the Ambassador Bridge and the two other crossings, making it crucial to relieve such traffic congestion. In fact, a 2004 border study revealed that 150,000 jobs in the region, as well as $13 billion annually, depend on this link. Although the study is literally 20 years old, I highly doubt these numbers have decreased over time. On the contrary, it's likely that the region's economy revolves even more around this link. So, a new bridge was paramount, and the construction of the Gordie Howe International Bridge began on July 17, 2018, at a total cost of about 5.7 billion Canadian dollars. In a nutshell, that's the bridge's history. Oh, and in case you didn't know, the bridge is named after Gordie Howe. Gordie was a legendary Canadian ice hockey player who played 25 consecutive seasons with the Detroit Red Wings. The Hall of Famer also played in 5 different decades of the NHL before finally retiring at the ripe old age of 52. Anyway, let's remember our channel is called Design Zip, so let's talk about the structure's design. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is a cable-stayed bridge, a structure that uses cables suspended from main towers to support the bridge deck. This design allows for long, clear spans, meaning the bridge can cross significant distances without the need for immediate supports, facilitating the passage of vessels underneath. The Gordie Howe International Bridge, designed by architect Eric Behrens, features an impressive structure with 2 A-shaped towers, each reaching a height of 220 meters. These towers, located on opposite banks of the Detroit River, will support the bridge deck through 216 stay cables. Standing out among North America's cable-stayed bridges, this bridge will boast a main span stretching 853 meters, with a total length of 2.5 kilometers. At its highest point over the river, the bridge will rise 46 meters above the water level. In addition to the 6 lanes designated for car traffic, a separate lane will be included for bicycles and pedestrians. Regarding adjacent infrastructure, the US port of entry will occupy a 68-hectare area, providing border inspection facilities and direct links to Interstate 75 via specialized ramps. Meanwhile, on the Canadian side, the port will span 53 hectares and house border inspection points, toll stations, and bridge maintenance areas. This side will connect directly to Ontario's Highway 401. Additionally, the bicycle and pedestrian lane will integrate with existing and new trails and will connect the bike routes on both sides of the river. Given the projected increase in cross-border traffic, expected to grow from 18,500 vehicles daily in 2016 to 26,500 in 2025, the Gordie Howe International Bridge is designed to ensure smooth and efficient movement of people and goods between Canada and the United States. The company in charge of developing the bridge is the ACS Group, leading the industry for 30 years. Aaron Epstein, CEO of Bridging North America, spoke in detail about the challenges such a project represents. First, he made it clear that meeting the standards and demands of two countries simultaneously is not easy. Moreover, the most obvious difficulty of all is having workers on both sides of the border. Epstein revealed that they have established two separate teams working in coordination. The Gordie Howe International Bridge construction started on July 18, 2018, with an inaugural event led by the Minister of Infrastructure and the Governor of Michigan. By September 28th of the same year, the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority, or more commonly referred to by its acronym WDBA, revealed the project would cost $3.8 billion Canadian dollars, with a total contract of $5.7 billion Canadian dollars with Bridging North America. Completion was projected for late 2024. Of course, none of these calculations anticipated what would happen worldwide in 2020. During 2019, preparations for major works were carried out, including the cleaning of contaminated areas. Despite attempts by Michigan's Republican Party to halt investment in the bridge, the project continued. Additionally, a $20 million investment in community benefits for residents on both sides of the Detroit River was announced. In 2020, the design of pedestrian walkways over Interstate 75 was presented, and construction of the bridge tower bases began. However, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted construction with changes in labour practices, travel restrictions, and material shortages. Despite these challenges, tower foundation work was completed by January 2021. Construction of the 220-metre high structures began. By March 2022, bridge segments on both riverbanks had been completed, and work on the roadway platform was underway. By November 2022, more than a third of the bridge towers had been completed. Although the WDBA suggested a possible delay in the opening until 2025 due to the pandemic, builders maintained their goal to inaugurate the bridge in 2024. In May 2023, installation of the cables supporting the bridge date began. In August of the same year, the US towers reached their final height, and the Canadian tower was completed in December. In October 2023, the WDBA estimated the main structure would be completed by the end of 2024, but that installation of signage and lighting would require an additional 6 months. They also highlighted that approximately 2,300 people were working on the project during construction peak times. Finally, in January 2024, the WDBA confirmed a delay in the bridge's opening until the fall of 2025, adding an additional 10 months due to the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite this, it was confirmed that the bridge deck would be completed in 2024. Now, let's talk about the issue that always sparks debate in the comments. We'll adopt a completely neutral and objective stance, but we won't skip any facts. It is impossible to talk about the opposition on the Gordie Howe Bridge without mentioning the Ambassador Bridge, as the two issues are closely related due to the political overtones behind it all. First of all, it should be noted that the Ambassador Bridge is privately owned and belongs to the Detroit International Bridge Company. This means that the maintenance of the bridge is up to the Detroit International Bridge Company and not the state. As expected, this generated a lot of controversy throughout history, as there are citizens who do not agree with the idea of a bridge being privately owned. The reasons are many. Some argue that a bridge of such importance should be publicly owned to ensure transparency and avoid a monopoly since, in case you hadn't wondered, the company that owns the bridge also manages the money from the tolls. Obviously, opposition to the Gordie Howe Bridge is not coming from this group of people. On the contrary, those who oppose the Gordie Howe Bridge even today believe that it is unfair and unnecessary to create another link for various reasons. The controversy became social and political for obvious reasons, and opinions have varied widely. It has also been argued that the construction of the bridge could have a negative impact on the environment, affecting natural areas, habitats of protected species, and water quality. Additionally, the financing of the project has been the subject of debate, with concerns about the total costs, the allocations of public funds, and the long-term profitability of the bridge. Likewise, the acquisition of land needed for the construction of the bridge has generated conflicts with landowners and local communities, especially regarding property valuation and the rights of those affected. Furthermore, some critics have questioned the need for the Gordie Howe Bridge, noting that it could compete with other existing or planned infrastructure projects in both the United States and Canada. While the Gordie Howe Bridge had opposition from US and Canadian citizens, the biggest opponent was Manuel Moron, the owner of the Ambassador Bridge. If the case is of interest to you, there's an abundance of information on the internet, although you are probably internalized on the subject if you are from Detroit or Michigan. However, the case was so controversial and media-worthy that it transcended far beyond these cities. Despite opposition, the project has moved forward with support from various sectors, including the US and Canadian federal governments, as well as state and provincial authorities. Anyway, at Design Zip we don't come to talk about politics, but about architecture. As we mentioned at the beginning of the video, we hope we have given you all the information you need to make an informed opinion about the Gordie Howe Bridge. If you think we missed something, feel free to post it in the comment box below. Making a video like this took a lot of work, but all the effort will be worth it if you leave a like and subscribe before you go. See you in the next one.